Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Teal Garcia. If you are not new here, thank you for coming back. Today we're going to edit some photos, but with this editing, I actually use a preset that I created when I edited these photos. So I'm going to share that with you. I get asked a lot when I edit pictures using my own presets or my own actions in Photoshop. I get asked a lot where people can get those, and unfortunately I've never really shared them before, so I don't know, it's more about me I just use what I use and I don't really feel like they're anything special. So, but this one I'll go ahead and share with you. So in the description box, there will be a link to a Dropbox with the XMP file if you would like to play with this preset on some of your own photos. So I call this preset Warm Vintage, and you'll see why. It kind of washes some of the colors out and adds a nice warm tone to the photos. And this photo shoot in particular, this is actually my niece. The car is a 1955 Bel Air. It's my brother-in-law's pride and joy. Yeah, we used it as a photo prop. I actually did some photos of my daughter just like this, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago. So we recreated my daughter's little photo shoot and we did some pictures for them. So I'm going to show you how I use my presets, the Warm Vintage, to get that kind of warm vintagey look on these photos. Okay, so we're going to play with this one. It was really nice. The sun was kind of setting back behind the car, so it was coming over the car and also like through the windows. We'll edit a couple together, but I do want to start with this one. So I'm going to hit the Warm Vintage. As you can see, it gets really dark. It gets really, really warm. It actually makes it really warm. If you can see, the temperature is above 7,000, which I super love. What I'm going to do is increase the exposure, and I'm going to get her exposed correctly. So all I'm paying attention to is her. And I actually think that looks pretty good. And as you can see, now that we have bumped the exposure up, it doesn't look as yellowy as it did, but I am going to take it down just a notch. So we're down to 6,800. Just to kind of, you know, not be so warm, even though I do like them really warm. But just for this photo, I didn't like it as warm. Okay, and for this, because the car is red, I am going to play with my red channels a little bit here. I'm going to play with the saturation. And as you can see, that preset does pull the red saturation down a little bit. And I guess in a vintage photo, you probably would get it a little more washed out, but the red car is really the highlight of the photos. Not the cute kids, you know, the red car. So I am going to use my little dot here. I'm going to hold the left mouse button down and then pull up, and that's going to increase the exposure. So you can get crazy. We obviously don't want crazy, but I wanted it to boost it just a little bit there, just to give it a little bit more of like a pop. Not crazy, just a pop. But all right, I think that's actually looking really good. There is a little bit of grain in this preset, just a tiny bit, and then to up in the exposure like we did from it being kind of dark, added a little more grain. I like a grain in this instance because it is supposed to look kind of vintagey, so I leave that. But if you want to take it off or you want to add more, you absolutely can. I always recommend, you know, making presets your own. Don't just think that it's a one-click situation and your pictures look gorgeous. So, okay, and actually, this is pretty simple. This is about all I would do in Lightroom for this photo. And then from here, I'll take it over into Photoshop and play with it some more. So, let's go over there. All right, now we are in Photoshop. So if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I do a lot in Photoshop also. I know that everything that I do in Photoshop can absolutely be done in Lightroom. I 100% know that. This is just how I do things. This is how I know how to do things. This is how I finish off my photos. It's just what I do. And it bothers a lot of people that I can do things all in one program. I just don't want to do it. So from here, the first thing that I would do would be adding a levels layer. And the reason why I do this is how I make my images kind of pop. So you'll notice like a lot of, and it's because it's a vintagey preset, a lot of the shadows are kind of muddy the blacks aren't like super black. This is what does that. This is what, in my opinion, helps make things kind of pop. It makes blacks blacks and it makes whites white. So the first thing that I do is pull my blacks down, and you just kind of eyeball it. Like, you obviously don't want to go too crazy, but I usually end up right around the edge somewhere. And then also this is my whites. So I pull my whites up also and just kind of play it by ear. So then I'll turn it off and turn it on, and see, it's just like a tiny little pop, but to me makes a huge difference. And the sun up here was washing her out a little bit, and now this has made her, like, kind of, I don't know, made it pop. That's all. The only way I can explain it is just kind of made her pop. All right, and again, another thing people hate, once I have something exactly how I like it, I flatten the image. Another thing that I want to do in here, like, it's honestly looking really good. Like, I don't have any issues with how this photo is looking. I can see my sister's, my little sister actually, her reflection right here. So I do want to take care of that. And for that, I'm going to duplicate the layer and use the clone stamp tool to kind of take what's over here and put it over there, just to kind of, it doesn't have to be the whole thing. I just don't want it to be like a recognizable person, if that makes sense. So, like how I can see like her face. You can absolutely take more time when you do these kinds of things, but I just don't want it to look like a person. And honestly, I think that's pretty good. There. Good enough for me. So again, if I was, honestly, because it's my sister's kids, if this was a client, I would probably take a little bit more time, but you can't see that it's a person anymore. You do see that it's a reflection of a house, but like that's gonna happen. That's just the way it is when you take pictures of reflective things. Okay, so honestly, like, this is pretty good. Like, I think I will flatten this. I'll flatten this, and then I'm going to run my Flatten and Sharpen preset on here, and I do have a whole video of what that action is. It's a high pass layer with some blend modes changed, but I will link that. So I'm not going to have a link to download that specific action because that's tweaked to how I like it. But I do have a whole video on pretty much what that is, and I'll link that in the description with this preset. That is one thing I always do in Photoshop. I don't like the way Lightroom sharpens. I don't know, it just doesn't make the right choices for me. Like, the things that I want sharp, it doesn't seem to sharpen. So, okay, I'm done with this photo. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to Lightroom and let's edit another one. Let's see. There's my other little niece. I'm going to put on the warm vintage and like do all of the same stuff. Trying to make sure she's in focus. It's a little soft, but I'm not too worried about it. Again, it's my sister, not a client. See, I'm going to go up here. Where am I going? I'm going to go down here to the saturation. I'm going to turn the saturation of the red up. Just giving her a pop there. Gorgeous, gorgeous. All right, so now I'm going to take this. This is good. That's why I love presets. It's just 1, 2, 3, and we're done. And now I'm going to send this over to Photoshop. And we're going to do that layers or the levels adjustment. Make things pop. I do think, and then so like this, I think it could be exposed a little bit better. Like maybe I should have, but you can do that with the levels too. You can play with your exposure here with the little middle one. So I'm just gonna bump that just a tiny bit. Love that. and then I'm going to flatten it. So for this one, I don't know if it was just the sun shining a little bit different or what, but I am going to come and kind of mess with her features a little bit. I'm going to make her pop. I think it's just a little, the sun was a little lower by the time we got to this photo, so I think that she's just a little more washed out. So let me show you how I would do that. What am I doing? I'm over here. Okay, we're not dodging. We right click on this and we go burn, and we're going to burn the shadows, and we'll burn them at like 24%, but we're also going to create another layer so we're not burning on our background layer, because then if things go crazy then we can just get rid of the layer, or you can always turn it down. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to darken like the stuff that needs to be darkened, and it's going to look crazy for a second, but this is the reason that I put it on 24, is because I really want the details to pop out, and then I can have it on another layer, which means I can lower it. See how she's popping a little bit more? Again, I'm going to turn it down, swear. I also want to do her hair a little bit, just a little bit. Just to get, I just want some more details. And then see, you can see it just kind of made her pop a little bit more, but I am going to turn it down also. I'm going to turn it down to about half. See, it just kind of made her face, like her features pop out a little more because it was a little bit hazy. Again, I know there's probably a way to do that in Lightroom. I just like it over here. What I'm also going to do though, I'm going to create another layer. Because I've darkened a lot of features, I also want to lighten some features. So I'm going to go to the same thing, right click, and I'm going to use the dodge tool. I'm going to do highlights, and I'm just going to like, whoops, I'm just going to not get crazy with it. Even though that did look a little crazy. Okay. But we can turn it down, look at that, turn it down. There we go. See, we just added a little bit of the highlight back to her eyes. It looked a little dull without it. So, okay. I really like that. So I'm going to flatten that. And then she did have like a little bit of a cold, I guess. So she's got some red marks around her face, around her mouth. So I will, let's try to get rid of some of those. Just a little bit. Like it wasn't anything crazy. There we go. Sometimes Photoshop makes good choices when it comes to choosing things, but I think that actually looks really good. All right, so then there is that picture. Again, I will do my flatten and sharpen, and that's good for that picture. All right, I really feel like that's all we need to go over. For that preset, you're welcome to tag me on Instagram at Teal Garcia Photo, or even on my personal Instagram. It's _teal like the color _ somebody has the other one. If you have that, I would love to have that one without the underscores. But yeah, let me know how you use this preset and if you like it. Again, it's just something that I've used for a long time and didn't really think about it because I've just had it saved for so long. So yeah, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know in the comments. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you are not subscribed, please do so, and I will see you next time. Bye.